What's up, everybody? We're live now. How's everybody's day going? What's up, Prince and Samander? Black Sky 50, welcome. It's Raven, welcome. Welcome everybody who's hopping into the chats. I'm Jason, full stack developer here at DevSlopes. I'll be filling in for Mark today. We're just going to do some Q&A. Any questions you have about web development or development in general, freelancing jobs, any of it, we'll knock it out. How we doing, Instagram? Welcome everybody who's piling in. Who do we have here on YouTube? Somebody throw something in the chats. There we go, Mohammed. What's up? How's it going, TikTok? Crushy or cuss high? Welcome. Hey, how's it going, Chip Snow? What's up, Thomas and Nick? Simple, welcome. Well, everybody, today is just going to be super casual. Filling in for Mark today. He's out doing ish, and I've been coding all day, and so that's been really fun. How many of you all are coding today? Who's coding? Throw some, wave your hands or some hearts in the chat if you're coding today. There we go. No comments on TikTok. All right. Anyways, it's just going to be super casual. So if any of y'all have questions about development, let's go ahead and get to it. All right, I'm going to start over here with Instagram. Let's see. What do we have going on? Where's the questions? Hello from India. Welcome. Samander asks, what laptop would you recommend to a web developer? Well, it really depends. I mean, really any laptop is going to do just fine for you as long as it has enough RAM, because as a developer, you're going to be running a lot of stuff at once. You're going to have 100 browser tabs open. You're going to have your IDE and other tools and such opened. You can do it on Windows or Mac. I personally use a Mac, but web development will work on any computer. Sometimes even the job will assign you a certain computer. Like when I worked at Dell, I had to use a Windows computer. I enjoy my Mac more, but it was fun using a Dell computer. Let's see, what else do we have? What languages to make apps? You can go native with app development. You can do iOS or Android. So you could do Swift for iOS. You can do Kotlin for Android. You can also do cross-platform apps. You could use stuff like React Native or Flutter. So there's a few different solutions that you could do for app development. Labed Masami, is C++ good for freelancing? Depends on what kind of projects you're building. C++ in a lot of cases, like if you're building desktop apps or games, it's overkill. It's a very, very complex language. And it's just got a steep learning curve. Like it's just a lot. Like if you're building websites, just use regular web frameworks like HTML, CSS, maybe React or Angular. If you're doing apps, go native or cross-platform. But C++ for freelancing, I guess, unless you're doing like embedded systems, or building the one of the rovers on Mars, go for C++. Otherwise, it's going to be very time-consuming and it's going to cost you a lot of money because of how long it takes to work with. Let's see, Cuties Phil, how to implement machine learning algorithm in Python to your data if your server is in Node.js. I have no idea. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I'd have to Google it. I would start there. That exact question, you should just paste into Google. I don't have an answer for you right now. Let's see. How can we get some experience before going to freelance? Building personal projects. I mean, that's the best thing. Like, stop with the tutorials, start building out some personal projects or more complex projects that are, end to end, full stack. And that'll get you some really good experience before you start doing freelance. Even building some clones of apps, like building a Slack clone or an Uber clone, like these different popular, apps. Try to build a clone of it so you have, a path, a guideline to go by, and then implement that. That'll get you tons of experience. All right. Wanted to ask you this for a long time. You know anything in animation softwares like Blender, Maya? Is there an Abby course for animation in DevSlopes? So DevSlopes does have a Blender course. I've never done any animation stuff myself, but I know DevSlopes has a Blender course. You can go to, let's see, devslopes.com, and then click the sign in button at the top. And then we have a bunch of courses. We have a course page, and you can go check out the Blender course. It's Raven. Bro, do you have a social life? No. I mean, I talk to my family. That's as social as it gets. And I talk to Mark and my brother. I keep in touch with some people, but I don't know. I spend all day in code and with my family. So that's my social life. My two loves of my life, family and code. So I'm set with that. It's all the socializing I need. Where can I learn to code? Go to devslopes.com/apply. Join the DevSlopes Academy. We've got iOS, Android, and web. And so you'll be able to work with instructors like me. So I'm the DevSlopes Web Academy instructor. And so I'll work with you to learn how to code. I'll answer questions. I'll help you land a job. Go to DevSlopes. If you're just starting out, though, I mean, check out some free tutorials on YouTube or something. Makolosafi, where are you from? I am in the United States. I'm here in Texas, Austin, Texas. Awesome. Dave, you're coding right now. That's awesome. I was coding right before the stream. So that's very good stuff. I'm going to check out some comments here over in the YouTube realm of things. Let's see if we got any action on TikTok. Oh, what am I doing? I think I'm accidentally replying to someone. All right. I'm going to come to TikTok here in a second. What kind of questions do we have here? Roshan, hey, Jason, I've submitted many requests to join your Dev Academy, but no reply received from you guys. Roshan, we are backed up with applications like crazy. If you're like super serious about wanting to get in, you can send a personal email to mark@devslopes.com. That's M-A-R-K, mark@devslopes.com. Send an email to him. Let him know that you want to be priority, put it at the top of the list. But that's really only if you're like ready to pay and go with it. The DevSlopes Academy, it does cost money, about a semester of college worth of money there. So yeah, send an email to Mark if you're ready to get rocking. Let's see, Roshan, fully charged to learn front-end web development. Roshan, I would love for you to join the Web Academy. I'd love to work with you. So yeah, set up that call. Email mark@devslopes.com, and we'll sync up. Wolf, you're learning Flutter. Flutter's fun. I've worked in it a little bit, but yeah. Satyam, nice hat. Yeah, do you like it, camo? Trying to, I'm feeling a little redneck today. Yeah, that's what happens when you live in Texas and you're looking to acquire land. No, not really. That's kind of like stereotypical, right? But I felt like the mullet and the camo hat makes a good combination. Let's see. Hey, Jason, I started my React course, but still having a hard time with CSS. How to get over it? You know what? I'm still having a hard time with CSS. Okay, I shouldn't say I'm having a hard time with CSS, but it's still a pain after 5 years of doing it. Like, you just have to, go with the flow. I Google everything with CSS. It's too much to memorize. I copy and paste as much more complex CSS as possible, but I've got the basics down on lock. So TikTok, no more in India. Oh, I wasn't aware. I'm not much of a TikTok user, so Actually, I'm not a TikTok user. So brutal. All right, let's check out TikTok. How we doing, everybody? Yamandris, or no, I pronounced that way wrong. Nymanders. I don't know. Well, using a Chrome Node and a Visual Studio or VSC at the same time can be a painful with the computer. Yeah, that'll take up a lot of RAM. Baby Yoda, I appreciate the TikTok channel. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Stoked to have you here. Best Life Motivation, YouTube and Free Code Academy are free. Why pay that much for a course? So yes, YouTube and Code Academy is free, right? But the problem is, I mean, think about how many YouTube tutorials that you're doing and Code Academy stuff that you're doing. Like, is it taking you closer to your goals? Like, it's great to get you an introduction to programming, but you can buy a course on Udemy and spend money, but like 90% of people who do that actually don't finish the course, or they don't even start the course. Cool thing about the DevSlopes Academy is you've got an instructor to work with, someone to hold you accountable, someone to ask questions to, and to help you guarantee land that job. So that's what we do at the DevSlopes Academy. That's why it's worth paying money. So we can change your life. That's what we're going for. All right, let's check out some Instagram. What do I have to learn, PHP or Node.js? I mean, so it sounds like you're building a backend and everything. I would personally prefer Node because I can keep everything in JavaScript, especially if I'm working with web development. Like, why throw in like another programming language into the mix when I can just use Node.js and keep everything JavaScript, so under the same code base? It's a lot simpler, in my opinion, but it also depends on what you're doing. Nicholas learning some JavaScript here. That's freaking great. Let's see. Quantum, which is more futuristic, React Native or Flutter? That's a great question. I know there's, from what I've seen in the area of Texas here, I've seen, or just kind of in general, more React Native positions, but I like Flutter personally better. You'll see a lot more startups using Flutter, but who knows? Maybe it'll be adopted for larger companies. But they're both fantastic. I think Flutter is a little bit more pleasant to work with. What programming languages to learn to make apps? It really depends on what kind of apps that you want to make, because for app development, you can use web technologies like React Native and Flutter. You can go native with iOS or Android. There's other languages that are cross-platform as well. So it really depends what you want to do if you're looking to build native apps or cross-platform apps. And Paul, hey, what's up? That's in a different language. I can't read that. John B. the Genie. I've been checking out the 30-day challenges. It a group thing, or can I jump in anytime? So the 30-day challenge, we'll go to 30daychallenge.com or 30daycodechallenge.com, and you can read all about it. So it's like every 2 weeks that we hold these code challenges. And so, yeah, you pay just $100 to get in. There's 30 days of code. You get to work with mentors, personal coaches. You have weekly live calls. And then you get all the code solutions and everything at the end. So it's really good, and it's going to push your coding skills to the next level. So no, you can't jump in anytime, but you can enroll. And then when the next challenge starts, let me just check when the next challenge starts here. So the next challenge starts May 17th. That's when the next challenge starts. So you can go and sign up for the challenge. And then on May 17th, you'll get access to everything. Actually, I guess it's the day after May 18th. The 17th is when registration ends. Simple Linux versus iOS. I don't know. I've only worked with iOS. I've actually never worked with Linux before, like raw Linux, you know. What's your advice for someone who's an intern for the first time? My advice is don't get fired. I got fired after 5 days from an internship. When I first was learning to code, I got hooked up with this internship, and I kid you not, after 5 days, they fired me. I was too loud. I talked too much, I guess, or I mumbled when I was coding. The environment was really weird. I definitely did not fit in to the environment with the other developers. I just didn't vibe with them good. But yeah, having a background in sales and just being somebody who talks, I mumbled a lot when I coded, and I guess I was very distracting, and so they let me go after 5 days. So my advice is just don't get fired. And then also be really open to learning. Like, be very absorbent and take in as much information as you can from the peers that you're working with, so you can just learn and grow as much as you can. How can we get some experience before going to freelance? I answered that question. Oh, what's going on here? All right. Could you please advise resources to learn design patterns? Ooh, that's a good question. Design patterns. Good resources. Well, I guess it also depends on what kind of design patterns you're looking to follow. I'm not exactly sure what type of design patterns you're looking for, but just Google, XYZ, whatever, programming language, design patterns, best practices. I left Dell to come to DevSlopes and teach. Dell was awesome. I absolutely loved Dell, and there was nothing that I disliked about Dell. I loved it 100%, but there is more joy or fulfillment in teaching code, and so I came back to DevSlopes. Plus, the other thing is, Dell, I worked remotely for the most part, but they still required me to go in every so often for meetings, which was fine. But I didn't want to be employed somewhere where I lived was dependent on where my job was. Like, I didn't want to decide where to live because of my job. Whereas DevSlopes, I can live anywhere in the world. Like, I come into an office because it's quieter than a house full of kids, but I don't have to come into the office ever. I never have to see Mark's face if I don't want to. Like, I can work remotely 100%. And so I came to DevSlopes so I can do that, because I'm looking to acquire land and I want to live in the middle of nowhere, so I can keep rocking my camo hat and my mullet. So that's the life I want to live. On what basis should a developer choose a language for the APIs? Let's see. On what basis should a developer choose a language for the APIs? I mean, that's a really good question. So, like, for an example, for me, with web development, just because you're working with JavaScript, I've always kept the backend with Node, Mongo, and Express. That's always what I've worked with, because I can keep everything in the JavaScript framework, and I don't have to learn a new programming language just for the backend. And when I've done like mobile apps, like in the past when I've done iOS apps, I was a huge fan of using Firebase. And so just because their API was so easy to work with, and then also, if I wanted to, you could just hook up Mongo and Node. It really depends. I've always been a fan of the flexibility with Mongo. And so that's always what I've worked with for the backend, is Mongo and Node. Is blockchain the next big thing? It can be. I used to be way hardcore into the blockchain technology, and DevSlopes actually a couple of years ago made some massive movements in the entire blockchain space. But some of the innovations that we were doing, blockchain just wasn't mature enough of a space for people to really get in and then jump on the innovations that DevSlopes was doing with it. So let's see. All right. Let's check out some TikTok here. How do you feel about TypeScript? I love TypeScript. So that's actually what I'm working in right now. I'm rebuilding the DevSlopes website. And this time around, I'm doing it with React and TypeScript. And I absolutely love it. And I mean, if you're new to TypeScript, there's a bit of a learning curve. But if you're coming from JavaScript, as long as you start getting the hang of declaring types, I just love how strict it is, the rules that it has, because it forces you to build really good habits. It can be really annoying sometimes because of how strict it is, but I'm a huge fan of TypeScript, hands down, 100% all the way. Do you know how much coding experience is needed for game design if you plan to do textures in models? That's kind of an interesting question to answer. I mean, yeah, you need experience, but I mean, just build games, learn those fundamentals, the basics, build some personal games. And then if you're looking to get employed, then start applying for jobs. Mark is the GOAT. He taught me Swift Dev, and he taught me Swift Dev. Now I have my own mobile gaming company. That's awesome. Yeah, Mark's a fantastic teacher. He's amazing. He is the GOAT, greatest of all time. All right, let's check out some questions from YouTube here. We have 9 minutes left before we're going to wrap this up. Let's see. As you said, I'm avoiding CSS by just adding Bootstrap with React. Is that okay? Yeah, that's totally fine. Bootstrap does a lot of the styling for you. And so that's totally fine. I mean, if there's like a custom design, if you're working with a client or some type of project and needs a lot of custom CSS, I found using Bootstrap in some cases a little bit frustrating because in the end, I'm like overriding almost all of their styles because I'm catering it to a different look and feel. And so if you can find a CSS library that caters to the design that you're looking for, like there's Material UI, there's Bootstrap, there's other ones, then go with one of those and do that because it's all designed out for you. Could you give me the 30-day challenge URL? Yes, Rosan, let me copy and paste it here. All right, there is the 30-day code challenge URL. Let's see, Nishant, I know the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and wanted to get started with React. How can I know if enough to get started with React? So Nishant, if you are proficient in JavaScript, you don't have to be an expert, but you have to be above of knowing the basics. You have to be able to write JavaScript that can think and to do stuff. If you are proficient with JavaScript, then dive into React. Dive right into it. Great to see you, Philip. Jack, do you know much about QA assurance testers? Is that a good field to get into? I don't know much about it. Most of the development teams that I've worked on haven't really had a dedicated like QA team. I guess at Dell we kind of did, but I wasn't really a part of it. And so, I mean, I would test my code, but they would do all of that. But I wrote a lot of unit tests. But I don't know a lot about the assurance testers, QA assurance testers. What's more perspective, Unreal or Unity? What's more perspective? I'm not sure I understand the use of that adjective in this sentence. Unreal or Unity? I don't know. Go with Unity. I don't understand the question. I apologize. I can't accurately answer that. Should I learn Node.js or Django with React.js? I would learn Node. And the only reason I would learn Node is because you can keep everything in JavaScript. Like it's easy. You don't have to go learn Django or anything. Just do Node and you're working in the same frameworks, nothing new. And so it's a very smooth transition into it. Which should I go for, freelance or career? That is a 100% personal choice. I'll give you my experience. So I did a lot of freelance work. All right. I did freelance for just over a year. That's how I provided for my family of 6. And so I made good money doing freelance, and it provided a very flexible, do what I want lifestyle. But I hate working with clients. They are so whiny and so needy, and you just have to put up with, all their junk and emotions. Because think about it, these people who are paying you for freelance work, some of these projects, depending on the price of it, it's like a lot of money to them. Like if you're building a website for $2,000, that could be a huge chunk of money for like just an individual, but it could be like pocket change for a large company. And so it depends on the clients that you're working with. But just managing the expectations and then all the legal stuff. I mean, it has its pros and cons. And then same thing with a regular job. It has its pros and cons. So it's really down to personal. I personally wouldn't go back to freelance. I think I just did enough of it. I did it as my sole priority income for just over a year, but I've been doing freelance work for over the span of like 4 years, like just projects here and there. And I don't know, working at DevSlopes, employed, it's fun, it's good. No complaints there. So, all right, we got about 4 minutes. Oh, I lost TikTok. Phone died. Bye, TikTok. See you later. Yeah, phone died right in the middle of the stream. Oops. All right, we're going to wrap up here pretty soon. Let's see. I'm 16 years old. Can I work as a freelance web designer, or do I have to wait to be 18 years old? If yes, then how? I mean, you can be any age to do freelance work. I say if you're 16, go for it. Start doing freelance work. Now, I'm not sure of the rules of like Upwork or these other platforms where you can kind of post your work and like get out there for freelance work. I mean, I'm over 18, so I've never had to read any guidelines or been hit with any flags about that. But go to like Upwork.com for an example and see if there's any rules or regulations. Being 16, I would recommend talking with somebody who has like a good amount of freelance experience under their belt, because there's a lot of things that you're going to want to know about working with client expectations, scope creep, all this other stuff. And you just don't want someone, taking advantage of your coding time and skills. So yeah, go for it. Start freelancing, but talk to somebody about freelancing. Let's see, startup or big MNC. What is a big MNC? Oh, multinational corporations. Okay. Again, I covered that already. That really depends on kind of what you want to do with a startup. So these MNCs, they have, what's my phone doing? They have more of the stability, right? And the security, job security in a sense. But startups, in my experience, are just a lot funner. I've always liked doing more of the startup thing just because I like feeling like my work has a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Importance, magnitude. Like it makes a bigger impact in a startup. It's cool to see your work like change the entire course of the company. And so it's a lot more fulfilling for me, but it does have that extra risk. Now, when I was working at Dell, I loved it, but it was so slow paced. It was so slow to get anything deployed, like a simple fix. It took days just because of the whole process. And it was just, everything was slow, just meetings after meeting. And so that's what I didn't like it about, I guess you could say, the corporate world. Like I love Dell, but it just moved so slow. Whereas here at DevSlopes, like some of the, website fixes and other code fixes that I've done, like I've gotten more stuff pushed to production in a matter of like 2 days than like 3 weeks at Dell, just because we're, a smaller startup and everything, and we can just push code. So anyways, everybody, that's really it. Let me just check out, see if there's any last minute questions, and then we'll end this. into the live. Please let me tell about the subject. I'm sorry, the live stream's ending. I can't let you tell about anything. All right, Stephen from YouTube, lucky winner you. You get the last question. Do you scoff at junior developers who desire to become a freelancer as their first job? It seems to be a popular reaction from other developers. No, absolutely not. I started out with freelancing before I got a job. That's how I had to get some of my real world experience and, build my portfolio. I did freelancing before I got employed because, being a self-taught developer and I don't have a computer science degree or anything under my belt, I had to kind of prove myself in the industry that somebody is willing to pay me for my work. And so I started with freelancing first and then got into a job. All right, everybody, that is it. That's a wrap. Thank you, everybody. If you're interested in learning how to code, go to devslopes.com/apply. Check out the DevSlopes Academies. We've got instructors and mentors who will personally work with you to learn how to code and guarantee land you a job or freelance work. Whatever your goal is, we're going to help you get there. All right, devslopes.com/apply. All right, I'm Jason with devslopes.com. And as always, stay positive, keep calm, and code on. Adios.